I attended Anita Sarkeesian's 40th birthday party. It was something else, let me tell you. It's just one of those days, like when you look back on it, like what led up to it, what happened while I was there, and the whole we'll straight up call it an escape from the island. It was something else. But like for a bit of a background, who don't know, I am very strongly affiliated with a lot of very high profile, very wealthy people. These are the people who like control everything, who control all forms of media, not just game journalism, and are pushing the whole progressivism thing onto the general public in hopes of like controlling the masses, right? Like I have, a connection with them. I've talked about this before. I don't like expounding on what the connection is, but I know who these people are. I went to school with a lot of the younger ones. I know quite a few of them, and I've met Anita personally, right? I've met a lot of her friends personally. Like I am very well acquainted with these people. But I'm not particularly close to them, right? Like I know Anita existed, like I know like she made feminist frequency, but like I wasn't involved with the project, I was always very critical of it, but like we never really had the kind of relationship where like we could talk about things like that. Obviously we differ very strongly on video games, but I checked my mailbox one day and I came out and I got an invitation, right, to her birthday party. And I was just kind of like, what? I'm like looking at this thing and I'm like reading the dress code and like where they're having it. Like they rented out a private island in like the Pacific Ocean where like she's going to have a wedding themed birthday party. Right. She's very clear in this about this in the invitation, like, oh, please, you have to come. Like, you have to come. You have to come. I'll be very upset if you don't. And I'm just kind of here sitting here like, we're not that close, right? Yeah, we know each other, right? We're well acquainted. Like, again, we're not close, right? I don't consider her my friend or anything. Like, I don't know all that much about her. But like, yeah, like I don't know that much about her. But I'm expecting, like, she's inviting me to her birthday party, her 40th birthday party. Like, I look at that invitation, I look at that number, I look at that age, and I look at, like, she's still single. And I'm just like, I feel really, really bad for this woman, right? Like, I was very upfront about this. Like, yeah, I really did not expect a lot of people to be there. So I'm just kind of like, okay, I'm gonna show up to this wedding and I'm going to like be nice to Anita Sarkeesian, right? I am going to be a decent human being and just show up, have some cake and then leave. I didn't expect it would be that big of a deal. Okay? Like I just thought it was a normal birthday party with a really, really stupid theme. So, I go out, I get a tuxedo, I get dressed, I get ready, get a haircut, I get ready, and I'm starting like, they send me like a jet, right? Like, these are like real wealthy people, right? So they send me like a private jet. I get on, and I'm like catered to by these like really attractive, like Asian women. Like, Mr. Touchdown, what would you like with your I can't do the accent. What would you like with your tea? Like it was like very very strange being in that environment again. All right? Like, associating with like, the 1% again. Like it's not something I get to partake in often, and I do kind of miss it sometimes, but like, like the flight was really really nice, right? But again, I touch down on this island, I get out and like my driver's waiting for me. He doesn't say a word to me. He just has like a sign like with my name on it. So I go over to him and he opens the door for me in like the limousine, and like we go, right? And I'm kind of just kind of I'm kind of surprised at all this, right? It's one of those things, like I'm just a guest, right? Like why exactly are they sending me a limousine? Like why exactly was I even invited? It's just one of those things where I'm just like, all right, let's see what this is. So like I get to the house where the event is taking place, and it's not really a house, it's like a palace. You're talking about like one of those massive like estate things that encompass, like they're massive, okay? Like I would say it has like maybe 50 bedrooms. Like it was like it was like a palace, okay? Like I bet, like, there are straight up like millionaires in Congress who don't live and like have estates that big. Like I don't again, we're talking about like really, really wealthy people here. So like, I go there, I'm let out of the limousine, like the driver just drives away, and I'm just standing there by myself on like the front on the front porch. And I kind of had this like really weird thought, like, wait, am I in the right place? Like, is it just some bizarre like circumstance? And like was I invited here by mistake? And then I kind of just see like Travis. And then like I see Anita just kind of like running towards me in like slow motion. You know how like in a movie where like people just kind of like dramatically just look at each other and get all excited and stuff like that. Like it kind of looked like she thought, like looked that way to me, right? Where she's just like smiling really widely. She has her arms stretched out, and like I'm just kind of like standing there just being like, God, she got fat. Like, man, like 40, like she was never like super attractive, right? But like, she was okay looking. For a feminist, she was like okay looking. But she packed on the pounds, okay? Like she gained a little bit of weight during Gamergate. Like anyone who was like following her would know that. But like, oh, she does not look good. So I'm just sitting here, like, I'm just standing there, just being like, Anita, hello, like, how are you? And she's just like, I'm so glad you could make it, Mr. Touchdown. Please follow me. So I'm just like, okay, like, she's taking me to the guest room or something. Like, okay, like, she's leading me to, like, where I'll be staying while I'm here, whatever. So, like, I I follow her back into the house, right? The door closes behind me. It's like pitch dark. Okay. And like she walks like a couple of steps ahead of me, and then she turns around and then she smiles. She's like, "Oh, so what do you think of the island?" Right? Like I'm just like, "Yeah, it's nice. Like I like the plane ride more." And she's just like, "Well, you haven't really like gotten to see everything we have in store for you this week." And I'm just kind of like, "Hey, what do you mean?" And she's just like, we have very big plans for you, Mr. Touchdown. Very, very big plans. And she kind of does this thing where like she looks at me and like bites her finger, and I'm just like, that does not look good on a woman, on a 40-year-old woman, right? I was just like kind of cringing, and I'm just like, okay, fine. Like, where am I staying? Like, whatever. I'm just kind of like, she's 40, she's single, she's probably like treating everyone like this, right? So, like, she shows me to the room, right? I sit down, like, I bring out my Switch, I play like another Code R, right? Like, I play like, a couple of games, like, don't have a good time. I'm like stressed out. I'm like worried, and just like, I'm alone out there, haven't eaten anything, and I'm just kind of like, okay, what is going to happen here? Like, like who is I haven't seen a soul since I came onto the estate. I don't know what's going on here. Like, maybe I should go find Anita and like ask, like, what's going on? Okay, so like I get up, I take the Switch, I dock it, I make sure it's charged for it's like when the next time I need it. I just leave. Okay, like I go out and I go out into the empty hallway, and it's like rooms of like of like closed doors, right? I can kind of see like they're all like numbered. I think like these are all like supposed to be other guest rooms, but I don't see any other guests, right? Not yet. I'm walking like looking for someone, trying to see if I can find Anita, and like there's just no one, right? It's just an empty, derelict house, right? So I walk a little bit further, like I try to find like okay, like Anita, if she's a bride, she probably has like the biggest, nicest room or whatever, right? If she's the birthday girl, right? She's running this out, so she probably has like the nicest room. So I kind of like isolate it in my mind, like, and it takes me a while because this house is like a labyrinth. Okay, it's so big. So like I kind of like puzzle it out and just kind of guess, and I just kind of like go from like hall to hall to hall until I like find a door that's like slightly open, right? So I reach for it, I open it, and I see like Anita putting on a wedding dress, right? And like she sees me, and she's just like, no! And I'm just kind of like, okay, come on, like a wedding dress, really? For a birthday party? And like she gives me this look, right? She gives me this like really dark, like considering look, right? And she's just like, "You really think this is a birthday party, don't you?" And I'm just like, "What?" And then she's just go like, "You are the only real man I've ever met in my life." And I'm just kind of like, well, first of all, I'm not surprised by that because have you seen the people she's around? The people who support her content. She's surrounded by like the most beta male soy boys imaginable. So like to me, like to her, I'm like a fucking giga chad, right? So like I'm not surprised to hear this. Like I've heard this before from these kind of people. So I'm just like, yeah, so what? And she's just like, this is our wedding. And then like all around me, like through these doors, through these like those sliding like window things, like guys come out in machine guns. Game journalists from all walks of life. There's Colin Moriarty. There was Jim Sterling there. Like, all these guys just come out. Movie Bob. Like they all come out like wearing these like these really badly fitted tux, right? Like they're all like fat. Like a lot of them are like Movie Bob is huge. Okay, so like he has this like tuxedo, but it's not like buttoned up properly. Like his belly is just kind of hanging out. But he's holding like a machine gun, right? He's brandishing it like this. Like they all come out. There's like 10 or 12 of them, right? They all come out from all around us and they just point the guns at me. And I'm just kind of like, what? 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 And she's just like, you are going to marry me, Travis. And I'm just like, holy fucking shit. Like I walked right into this. Like I didn't think this was like a thing that happens, but I was kidnapped. I was just like, and I was being held at gunpoint by a bunch of game journalists. I was just like, oh no, damn it. So like I walked right into this, right? And like Colin Moriarty like walks forward and he like prods me with the gun, and I just look at him, I'm just like, aren't you a libertarian? Like why are you helping this like hardcore feminist? Right? Like why are you helping her? And he's just like, I hate Nintendo more than I hate woke culture. And then he like just hits me with the side of the head with like the butt of the gun, and I just go reeling, right? Blood's gushing down my head. And Anita's like screaming at him, like, "Don't you do that to him!" And like she reaches out and she just kind of takes his she just kind of grabs his gun. And I guess he's like being paid a lot because he just kind of lets her do it. Or maybe he's more of a beta male than I give him credit for. Well, I mean, he's a PlayStation fan, so I guess he is. So he just kind of like lets her take the gun from him, and like she just goes like, "And this is why we should ban guns," and like tosses it out the window. Like, and of course, like she lets everybody else keep their guns because this is gun control in a nutshell. So like she like reaches down to touch me, and like she grabs my head, and she's just like cooing. Like how like sometimes like people will like make these comforting noises. Like it's like she's like trying to will me back into like like regaining my senses because I'm kind of like out of it, right? Like I don't necessarily I'm just kind of like reeling a little bit. I wasn't really processing what was going on at the time. She's just kind of like, it's gonna be okay. Like tonight, I will make it up to you. And then she like grabs my arm and she's just like, once I walk you down the aisle. And I'm just like, no. She's like still talking to me, like, all you have to do is just say, I do. That's it. That's all you have to do. And I'm just like, no. I'm still kind of out of it. So she drags me out of like out of the room. She's like telling these guys, like, yeah, we're gonna have to have the wedding like today. Like, we're gonna have to have it right now before he has a chance to recover and get out of here. Like, he already saw me in the dress. We have to do this before like bad luck strikes, right? So like everybody is just like scrambling to get this together. Like the wedding wasn't supposed to be until next week, right? Like I wasn't supposed to be told that this was all a ruse until the last moment. So these guys are like, you know, these guys are like, get ordering takeout for the banquet. They're like, they're just they're just like setting up these tables. They're like throwing decorations everywhere. Like it all looks like shit. Okay, it all looks terrible. But like they're doing everything they can to make Anita happy. Like all these guys are like huge simps for her. Okay, like it's just so ridiculous. I was so upset. So like she drags me like up to like the makeshift altar and like the guy presiding over it, it was it was like some bearded I've seen him in on Twitter before. I don't know remember his name. He's some like he has like this really big he has this really thick like black beard and like he looks like the round face. I don't know what how to describe him, but like he's just standing there and he's just like, Anita Sarkeesian, will you take this man, Travis Touchdown, as your husband? And she's just like, yes, I do. And then he's like, he turns to me and he's just like, and do you take Anita Sarkeesian as your lawfully wedded wife? And I'm just kind of like, I just like reach over and just punch him in the face. He goes reeling backwards. He falls off the altar. Like Anita screams, and like all those guys with guns like start charging me forward. And like I just turn around and like I grab Anita by the neck and I kind of drag her backwards, right? So the guys start firing, but because of like the proximity, they can't I just kind of use Anita as a human shield. Right. So like she doesn't get hit, but like they're not willing. Like they fire the guns, but like the bullets just go like in every direction, right? They're trying to intimidate me, but it doesn't work. So I just try to drag Anita off the altar, right? I'm dragging her to the back, and she's just like screaming, like, "Yes, please, like do it more," like a feminist love being like dragged around, right? So like she's like screaming her head off about how much she's into it and shit like that. So I just like drag her to the back. I like thrust her to the ground and then I just bolt. Okay, like I break through the window, I hit the ground running, and I'm like down across the estate, right? I can hear like ATVs coming up from behind me, guys with chainsaws. Like you have like more guards, more Gamagenos. They're all like making a bolt for me, and I'm just like, I gotta get to the airport, gotta get to the airport. And like the thing is, like there is an airport, but there's no plane. Like they specifically got the plane off off the ground so I couldn't get away. So I get to the airport and I'm just like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? So I have no choice. Like I jump into the ocean and swim like 50 miles out to sea until I can find a boat that would be willing to take me back to the mainland. Okay? Like that was my weekend. Like it was what a waste of time. Like I left my Switch there. Like it's still there. I'm just I'm so upset by it. Like I don't know. Anyway, it was it was an interesting weekend, to say the least. It's one of those things where I'm just like, yeah, uh, I could have done anything else that weekend. I could have like played more games. I could have like done something. Like done something productive, but no. I'm dealing with Anita Sarkeesian 10 years past her prime. Okay, she doesn't make feminist frequency anymore. She's not relevant, and yet I had to spend my weekend dealing with Anita Sarkeesian and her need to get a ring on her finger. Like unbelievable.